This new feature we're going to cover is a feature update for speed, agility, quickness, and cardio, otherwise known as SAQ+C. So to start, I'm going to make my way to the exercise database and go to SAQ+C, and we're going to talk about the process of creating exercises within SAQ+C. So the biggest thing now is that we're allowing coaches to program using sets and reps. So for instance, if you're doing sprints or other types of conditioning, you can do that here. So one example that I'll use is if you want to do a 40-yard dash, you can go ahead and put that in. Now we have this primary user input box, which basically means that you can choose the unit of measurement to collect for different types of exercises. So in this case, we're obviously going to use seconds. And then we can enable PR tracking. So if you want people to have a record of their personal bests, then you would check that box on. It also means that you can show it on the leaderboard. And then also you have to have a preference for how the leaderboard is organized. So in this case, lower values are better. If you take, for example, counter movement jump or vertical jump, right? Obviously the primary user input here will be inches or centimeters. And you're going to say a higher value is better. Okay, so that's a little bit to distinguish between the primary user input in accordance with the PR preference. Now, another thing to note is that sometimes we do things like put an exercise called airdyne. I want you to ride the airdyne bike, or do the rower. That's fine if you're using it for training purposes. However, if you want to track PRs, if you want to compete people on leaderboards, you just have to be a little bit more specific when writing these exercises. For example, 20-minute airdyne, that would be something that you can track for either distance or you can track it for calories. And if that's the case, then obviously a higher value will be better for calories. Say if you do a 20 cal airdyne, I'd recommend that you specify this figure in the exercise name, because that's going to unlock the ability for you to then track for things that you want to do. Minutes and seconds. In this case, this would mean a lower value is better. If you can do 20 cals faster than someone else, then you are more fit than them. Okay, great. So we covered that a little bit. Now let's move our way into the calendar page and let's talk about this concept of programming. So like I mentioned, a lot of people asked to program conditioning using sets times reps. Well, now that will be possible. So take an exercise called sprint, and let's just say sprint is the name of the exercise, all right? I know that I want to do 3 sets of sprinting, and I want to do 3 by 2. So let's say we're going to do 2 sprints. So this is essentially clustering our conditioning. 3 sets, 2 reps each, and I want them to rest 20 seconds between each rep, all right? So that's the rest per rep. Intensity, we have different units of measurement for intensity. So I'll use percentage, and I'll say I want you to sprint at 80%, all right? And then the last thing is prescribed values, all right? So remember, we have 3 sets. Now let's say that the first set is at 40 yards, so that's 2 reps at 40 yards. Next will be 2 reps at 60 yards. Next will be 2 reps at 80 yards. And we know that they have to rest 20 seconds in between the reps, but in between sets, you can go ahead and write that in here. So if I want 60 seconds of rest in between sets, then we just write that here. And now we have a sprint conditioning exercise using sets and reps. And here's another thing for reps. We can customize this, all right? So if I want to do 4 reps at 40 yards, 3 reps at 60, and then 2 reps at 80, no problem. You just type in C for custom and type in those variable rep ranges right then and there in custom reps. All right, and then this is now a completion exercise, which is good because it means that you're not requiring that the athlete submit any data in response to this conditioning. Some coaches just want them to run the sprints and then call it a day. If you did want them to record data, you would uncheck this, and then now they would be writing in a value for each rep, which in this case I won't do. All right, so let me add that to the workout. And just for another example, let's say that we're going to do the airdyne. Again, the airdyne by itself is probably not specific enough. So I would recommend that you do something like a 20 cal, name the exercise really specifically. And then when you do that, you'll be able to say that they're going to report minutes and seconds, track for PR, a lower value is better, and then go ahead and say 1 by 1 on the airdyne It's going to be one set of 1 rep of 20 cal airdyne, so they know exactly what that is. And prescribed values, no need to put anything there because unless you want to tell them what time to aim for, but you can do that here or you could do that here. It doesn't matter, but basically what happens here is when you program an airdyne, they're going to input time in response to the 20 cal airdyne. So that's a little bit about the new SAQ+C. Even if an exercise is listed as a completion exercise, like sprints here, we'll still show the workload. So if we were to go to an athlete that did that sprint session, right? Even if it's a completion exercise, we'll still show that it was prescribed as 40 yards for 2, 40 yards for 2, 60, 60, 80, 80. This is a different sprint session that I built earlier today. But their workout results will come in even though you made it a completion lift, as opposed to the check boxes, which you may be used to.